Okay, as long as my phone doesn't fall. Um, so I thought I would just try to record another video. It popped in my head today. I don't know why, but I thought about the mark of the beast. So that was kind of always this curious thing in my mind when I grew up hearing about that. So I thought I would try to explain what, to the best of my knowledge, it is that I can describe. So if we think about it in a qualitative sense, it makes a lot more sense to me. So if we look, like, thinking about the Bible, if you start with the marks, like, first there was a mark put on Cain. So, like, in my head, that's always just been like a spiritual mark. Like, you read it and you just think, oh, God put a mark on him, so there's a mark on it. Like, not like physically this like carving appeared on him. So this mark was put on Cain. So also in Ezekiel, an angel goes out and puts a mark upon the righteous. In Revelation, it talks about these marks actually be putting on. I think it's the 11,400 or something. I can't remember. All the Israelites that are numbered, and the name of God is written on them. There's a mark put on them with the name written on them. So it's kind of the same concept. It's a spiritual mark. So it's not like a microchip or anything. I mean, it could be associated with stuff like that, because the idea of it has to do with it could have to do with that concept, I guess, because the idea of the microchip thing is like to account for everybody and to have everybody where mankind is ruling in a governmental state, and he has everybody accounted for, all the people of the world he can, like, order. And basically the idea of the mark of the beast, the number 666. So the idea is it's the number of man, which is mankind as God. So it's the same as the tree of knowledge of good and evil in the garden. When you eat of that tree, which we all do, like the story of Adam happens to everybody, God says don't eat of it, because when you eat of that tree, you're saying, I know good and evil. I'm all knowing. I'm God, basically. And you can do that in any area of life. Like, you can just say, I'm the one who has all knowledge. I know what is good. I know what is evil. I'm God, basically. It's kind of that same concept. So when Satan tempts him, when the serpent tempts him, like the pride of your heart tempts you to do that. It's pride. It's exalting yourself. He says you will be like God. You will be like the Most High. So the mark of the beast is 666. It's the number of man. It's the Tower of Babel. It's Babylon. It's all those things. It's the serpent, in a way. It's all those things, like, tied into one thing, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So, like, if you go to the Tower of Babel when they're building it, that's the same idea, where mankind comes together as a unit, as a body, and says, we're going to exalt ourselves to the heavens. Mankind is going to be ruling in the heavens. We don't need God anymore. We're going to sit up there and we're going to rule over everything. So that's kind of the idea of, like, you kind of have the microchip idea, I guess, in that also. Like, mankind is going to sit up in the heavens, and he's going to have all the earth accounted for. Everything's going to be under his thumb. Like, man is God. Thessalonians, when it talks about the Antichrist, says the same thing, that he's going to sit on the throne of God, declaring he is God, and exalt himself above all other gods. So it's mankind building a tower to the heavens and sitting up in the heavens, declaring himself as God. In Isaiah chapter 14, there's a proclamation against the king of Babylon, which most people always say is Satan, which is kind of, it probably applies to Satan, but it's more generally just the king of Babylon, because it's what it reads. So you can find yourself in that same prophecy, because if you play that same role, then that same word, or whatever you want to call it, that same chapter is kind of spoken over you. And because it says the king of Babylon is Lucifer, the light bringer. It's like the one, like, you could say you're like, I'm the light bringer, I'm shining bright, whatever. But it's the same word is spoken. He says it's the same words that are in Genesis 3 when the serpent tempts Adam and Eve. And it says the king of Babylon, when it's prophesying over him, it says, I think it's like Isaiah 14:14. Let me just read it really quick. That way I won't get it wrong. I'll just read a little bit before, so we get the idea, maybe. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. You are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations, for you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I also will sit on the mount of the congregation, on the farthest sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. And then this part, I will be like the Most High. So Genesis 3:5, it says the same thing, you will be like God. And it's the same concept of the Tower of Babel, like I'm going to sit in the heavens, I will exalt myself above the throne of God. So that's Babylon being tied in with Babylon in 11, also tied in with Genesis 3, with the serpent of the garden, the serpent of your heart, the pride of your own heart that exalts yourself above into the heavens. So then, like all the way in, what made me think about it today actually was because I thought about the harlot in the Scarlet Woman, that like in Revelation chapter 7, and as I was talking a while back to one of my cousins about it, and I said she's called a harlot because that's the most definitive way you can describe her, because everybody thinks, well, who is this harlot? Most people say it's just Babylon, but it's like, but no, you're the harlot. Like read Ezekiel chapter 16. Israel's the harlot. You're the harlot yourself. We all play the harlot, and that's why she's called the harlot, because it's like, that's the only way to describe her, because it's describing all harlots. She's like the archetypal harlot, it would be the character and nature of the harlot, the one that plays anybody that falls into that category of playing harlotry with the things of the world, selling out, basically. Like harlots receive payments, so you sell out for the things of this world, all that is in the flesh, all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. You sell out for those things. So, but the reason I thought about it today is because of the name. She has a name on her forehead, so like the mark of the beast, like there's a mark on her forehead. On her forehead a name is written, Mystery of Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So it's like that's the mark of the beast also. It's Babylon the Great. It's just written across your forehead. I live in the kingdom of Babylon, and Babylon is great. Mankind is king, mankind is God, and we don't need God, because man will just do everything on his own, and we worship ourselves. It's the same thing, I think it says that in another part in Isaiah, like, who is Lord over us? Like, I am, and there is none besides me, I think is what actually the harlot, or Babylon, the city of Babylon actually says that in Isaiah. She says, I am, just the way God says I am, and there is none besides me. And she says those exact same words, and then God repeats those multiple times in Isaiah. God says the same thing, I am, and there is none like me. So it's that's the mark of the beast, basically. It's the number of man. It's a quality, not like a quantity number. It's a quality of, it's just that mark of willingly receiving that mark of saying, I'm God of my own life. Man is God over everything. It's just a self-exaltation and self-worship, self-righteousness. All those things fall into it. It's the pride of your own heart that gets you there. Yeah, but I think it's the willingly and knowingly, not ignorantly. It's like a willing and knowing choice to receive that name, Babylon the Great, written on your forehead and on your hand. Which I've also heard, and that was really helpful to me too. I've also heard that that's your mind, because your forehead is your mind, so your thoughts and your deeds, because your hands, the work of your hands. So it's like, so like you're serving that kingdom of Babylon. You're serving the kingdom of, the Tower of Babel with your thoughts and your deeds. So I thought, I don't know, I don't remember where I heard that, but I thought that was helpful also. Anyway, that's all.